Meanwhile, let's get to Steve Moore for reaction, co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity and a former economic advisor to the Trump campaign. Steve, great to have you here on the program. We were coming off of a segment with Kelly Saberi about the drop in EV mandates, and I'm thinking about overall this general notion, general feeling of deregulation, wanting to scrap all of these regulations. As an economist, can you put a number on the GDP boost or the gain in profits that you expect to see if we indeed start all of this big deregulation cycle?
Well, let's start with that fascinating segment you just had on the EV mandates, because, in fact, I just wrote a column on this. I think the worst thing that ever happened to the EV industry was Joe Biden, because he came in and he was like trying to force feed people to buy these cars that they didn't want. Yeah. And if you look at a chart of EV sales, they were going up pretty rapidly until Biden came into office. And then all of a sudden it leveled out and almost fell because Americans don't want the government telling them what kind of car they could buy. And so there was a kind of rebellion, especially in red states. They became Biden cars and nobody wanted to buy a Biden car. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're going to see a kind of renaissance of electric vehicles. I myself and my wife have a hybrid and we love it. By the way, the Greens are against hybrids. I don't understand why. They reduce emissions by about 50%. But I think that radicalism is what really killed the market for those 4 years. And I think we're going to see a comeback in EVs. Now, you asked me the question of how much do these regulations cost? Well, we estimate about $2 trillion a year. And now, so look, there are good regulations and there are bad regulations. Nobody wants dirty air or dirty water. We want safe workplaces. We want safe, reliable financial markets. But so many of the regulations have costs that far exceed the benefits. So I'm here to tell you, I think we could cut about $1 trillion of costs off the American economy with very wise, sound deregulation efforts.
Wow. I'm waiting for the moment, though, that I'm going to hear Steve Moore get some sort of position in this administration. We digress for a moment. You have some really interesting ideas. Your top ideas for the second Trump administration?
On with you guys.
Well, that's true. Some of your ideas: freeze all federal hiring, defund NPR, NEA, and PBS. No bailouts of debt-laden states anymore, like places like Illinois. Defund sanctuary cities, yes, and states too. Tell us more.
Well, let's start with the bailout of blue states, because this dates back to the COVID era, when what happened was, the red states like Florida, where I am right now with their great Governor Ron DeSantis, they pretty much opened up after a couple of months of COVID and they got their economies reopened. Whereas states like New York and California, my home state of Illinois, stayed shut down for over a year. And so what happened was then Biden came and said he's going to give a massive amount of money to the blue states to reward them for their bad behavior. So I don't think we should be bailing out blue states. They have big problems. They're going to have to solve their problems themselves. And have you guys been paying attention to the fact that you've got governors like the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and J.B. Pritzker saying, oh, we're going to resist everything that Trump is trying to do in our states. Well, come on. He hasn't even been inaugurated yet, and they're already fighting again.
Steve, let me ask you about the Treasury Secretary position. We're hoping to hear about it by the end of the week. I don't know what job you're going to have, but I really want to know who's going to have that job. John Paulson's out. Who's going to be in, do you think?
Well, I just think Scott Bessent is fantastic. He shows up a lot on Fox News lately, and he's so smart. He's a financial expert. He's exactly what Donald Trump needs. I hope Donald Trump is watching right now. Sir, Mr. President, Scott Bessent is your guy. Now, there's a couple of others that are in the running, and they're fine people. But I think Scott would be a fantastic Treasury Secretary. We've got so much work to do. He's on the team, and he's been with Trump from the start. So I think he's got the lead right now, but you never know where Trump's going to go with these things.
Yeah, well, he has the lead in the betting markets as well.
That's true.
So, Steve Moore, well said.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much.